Chain dropped 3 times and I kind of put it back while we were descending. It was crazy. One time it dropped on the inside and I had to stop. My chain dropped again. 5:30. I'm driving to Valkenburg, which is in far south of the Netherlands, for my first ever official gravel race, part of the UCI Gravel Series, and it's gonna be a qualifier for the World Championship. I got back from the cycling camp in Mallorca yesterday. I've already done about 20 hours of riding this week. It's been a very busy week for me, you know, hosting this cycling camp on Mallorca. I crashed also on the last day of the camp, so I've got a really sore arm and a sore, like a stiff hip. But I'm just gonna wing it, man. I'm gonna see how it goes. It's sunny, very beautiful morning, but it's cold. 7:45, race starts at 9:30. Gonna pick up my bid number and then rock and roll.
330, special guest. Special guest? Yeah, special guest, Jasper.
Hello. I didn't know what to bring, which bike, which tires. I didn't have time to really check out the race course, so I figured I'm gonna take the Windspace G2 Gravel, because that's my only gravel bike at the moment. It's light, it's okay for the climbs. There's a few climbs on asphalt actually. I did mount really fat tires because I didn't really know what I could expect. So let's hope these are gonna work out. 45 minutes to the start. Things are really heating up right now. Lots of riders. There's like proper pros here with mechanics, support from the side. They've got vehicles with them, all that shit. I just want to know the beginning of the route and the end. That's really important.
A few moments later.
My last few races, I started all the way in the back. For some reason, they gave me a spot in the priority box today, next to Lawrence Tandem and some other pros.
Some other pros? Dude, this was an entire list of pros. I actually had no idea until I started editing this video and trying to find all these guys from their bib numbers. So here we go. Timo Kielik, Belgian pro for Alpecin Cycling. Cameron Mason, British national champion cyclocross and racing for Trinity. Ismael Esteban, a cyclo and MTB pro rider for BH Bikes, Spanish cyclocross champion. Jens Adams, Belgium cyclocross professional. Jasper Okkeloen, full-on gravel racing and racing pro for Canyon. Jan Bakelands, former pro rider, and he's worn the yellow jersey on the Tour de France. Lander Lokes, a Belgian pro racer for cyclocross and on the road. Lawrence Tandem, former World Tour road cyclist, now full-on pro for gravel. He doesn't need any introduction anyway. Sascha Weber, German champion cyclocross racing for Trek. Emmerich Turcat, the former French champion. Thijs Sonneveld, gravel pro for Beat Cycling. Kevin Padhuizen, gravel world champion in the age category last year. David van der Poel, racing for Alpecin de Koning. You know whose brother this is. And Jonas Ricard, pro racer for Alpecin de Koning. And lots of other super strong riders.
Well, good luck with that.
So it was pretty much a pro race with a bunch of amateurs just following around. And it was going full gas from the start because the first climb was the Cauberg. Cauberg is a serious climb. It's only 1200 meters, but it has a 12% maximum gradient, averaging at 6. Especially the first part is quite steep, so all these guys are already going fast to get into position. And I understand why they put it in this race, because it's a very wide road, so it will allow our riders to overtake. And this would be sort of the first big splitter in the race, separating the strongest riders from the rest. And if you're more in the back at the start, you do have the chance to overtake a few riders on this particular climb, so you get into a better position. So let's have a look at that route actually. Starting in Valkenburg, where there was a start and a finishing loop of a few kilometers that would take you on the big 33-kilometer lap that we would have to go over 3 times. In this race, pretty much nothing was flat, with gravel climbs, gravel descents, but also 4 tough climbs on asphalt. The Cauberg at the start of the race, and then the Keuteberg in the east part of the loop that we have to do 3 times. The total was 113 kilometers. The variety of bikes on this race was very big. I was on a gravel bike with about the widest tires I could fit there, but there was also guys on road bikes or gravel racing bikes with only 35mm tires. They would have a major benefit on the uphills like this one on this first climb. And most of the top riders had lots of support from the sidelines, you know, to give them drink bottles and food, and I had to carry most of the stuff with me. I was able to manage to get 2 bidons from a friend's supporter, but all of the rest I have to carry it from the start, so I was heavily packed. Lawrence and Dam is just overtaking me there on the right hand side. I don't have a power meter on this bike, but this was definitely a 500 watt climb or more. I did my best to get close to the front at the start of the climb, so I have some margin to drop back a little bit as we go up and then still make it into the group. The footage doesn't really show how hard it's really going up there. Here we are at what you think is the top of the Cauberg, but it's not. The top was a little bit flatter, so the speeds are about to ramp up, and it's very important to get into the draft. From here on, it wasn't far till the first gravel section would come up, so it's already a race to be there first. We're dodging road furniture left and right onto the first narrow road, and from this moment, it was mayhem. Right now it's a bit of a lull in the speed on this quite wide gravel road. I'm here with the former yellow jersey wearer, all podium finishers, gravel world champion from last year. All these guys are here, right here in the front of the race. We're only doing 38 kilometers an hour, but it was gonna ramp up really fast. We were going full gas on this gravel section, and this road had like puddles and potholes that you couldn't see it because you're riding in a group at 50k an hour. It was crazy. That was a crazy part of the race. We're only 20 minutes in the race and went full gas. Downhill was crazy. You could hardly see where you were going. 60k an hour. And now, after the downhill, obviously, we're gonna climb up. My heart rate is all the way up to 180 because I'm trying to stay with the group. We've got the Gerendal climb, which is a gravel climb. Short and steep, 5% average, 850 meters, but 18% max. All these climbs are going to be short and punchy. and I really have to push hard to even stay with the group. So we're riding up this hill. We've got this German cyclocross champion Sascha Weber here on the left, and you can hear me breathing. I'm really on the edge, barely holding on, and then at the top this little hiccup happens in front of me. A couple guys are tumbling over each other, nearly crashing, taking out the speed, and this lost my connection with the rest for just a moment, and I really did not have the legs to close that gap right there. So I just push what I have, and I look behind me. I see a guy in a Quick Step jersey, which is Jonas Rickard. So I figured, let him close this gap. This guy is gonna be way stronger than me anyways. So I let him overtake me, and as soon as he goes to the front, he just gasses it. He just accelerates so hard, and I was already in the red. I couldn't even follow his wheel. So I have to wave again to let other guys pass me. And look who's there, Lawrence and Dam. You know, he gives a little push and he gets on his wheel. I'm pretty sure he has a little bit more margin on these climbs than I do when it comes to power to weight ratios and stuff. So there's a few other riders behind me, so, you know, a couple overtake me there, and then we're just trying to ride in a group again a little bit, trying to get some recovery on the downhill again, 45k an hour over bumps and through corners. Multiple riders are on the sidelines there having some issues, and I didn't know what was going on, but they were having dropped chains. Their chains were falling off their bike, and I was actually gonna have that issue myself. Right now the bike is still in my favor. I've got some really wide tires which are giving me a bit more grip and suspension on these fast sections with these crazy downhill bumpy roads. I found a really nice line through that corner here, and look who we caught up to. It's Lawrence and Jonas again. Maybe they didn't descend as fast as we did. Anyway, we're straight up to the next climb where I'm just gonna suffer again. Local rider Brian Megan's here. He focuses predominantly, I think, on the TT bike, and he does some track racing. He got the national track champion in the pursuit, I think, last year. Big guy, also doesn't really like climbing. That's what he told me during the race. Big group is catching up with us right now. Today it was all gonna be up and down. Nothing was flat. So here we go. Welcome to the Keuteberg. 6.7% average. The steepest 100 meters is 15% with a 22% max, and the total distance is 1200 meters. I know if you live in the Alps or you live anywhere where there's big mountains, you're gonna say, oh, this climb is only 1 kilometer, but it was very steep, and on these climbs, because they're so short, everything is going full gas. I had a hard time. The descent, by the way, I just did, you can see it on the right side of the screen here, was on sort of rough concrete. It was worse than off-road. It was terrible. And this is one of the tarmac climbs that we had to do 3 times because it was in the loop and we had to do this whole loop 3 times. I'm only 35 minutes in a race and I've already died 3 times. So on the previous climb I lost connection with the first group, and now I was with these few couple guys and I was really struggling to keep up. You can see some other guys in front of me right now. They're overtaking me. At the top it's going to be flatter, so I'm really trying to stay in their wheel, and also where we get a little bit of wind, not much, but you know, if you're going uphill with the headwind, it just adds up. And this race was not over by a long shot, so I'm trying to ride in the draft a bit when I can. So this is the part where it's still going up. It doesn't look like it, but dude, we are riding uphill. The guy in front of me, he's asking me to take a pull, but I just can't. Guy on the left overtaking us, Ben Thomas, 4-time British champion, consistent, performs well in mountain and gravel races. He was one of the guys that had to start in the back, and he was probably fighting his way forward through the field. And this is sort of when he hooked onto us. He was riding in front of us, so we just drafted behind him for a bit. I'm trying to take a gel here, and I'm just coughing my lungs out because it's full intensity. It's really difficult to get anything in. On these races, I always go full liquid, so only gels and powder in my water bottles. I never eat solid food because you just can't eat. It's going up or down, so you're full gas descending with 2 hands on the bars, or you're going full intensity uphill, so there's no way you can eat food. The race was not super long, but you still have to eat a lot because you're burning a freaking amount of sugar and carbs, so you need to fill up that stores. On this race, I was aiming to eat 100 grams an hour for what it was, 3.5 to 4 hours. So it was a lot. So I had my Martin 320 in my bidons, and then I added the gels, which would add up to 100 grams. We're passing the feed zone here, but nobody stops when you're racing. So I have this packs of Martin in my jersey pockets and the gels, obviously. And then, like I said, I would get some water from the sideline. And that's the way that's the only way how I can take my nutrition. If you do like a Grand Fondo in a more relaxed pace, you can stop at these feed zones and maybe get some food what they have, bananas, or you can fill it up with their energy drink that they supply you with. But in these races you have to take your own stuff, and there's all these guys I'm racing with now, most of them had support from the sidelines, so they will get bidons, a lot of bidons and gels and stuff from the sidelines, but I had everything in my pockets from the start. So I'm rolling with this group, and then sort of the first time I had a mechanical issue. My chain dropped off the front chainring, and it was on this descent. This is going downhill, we're going pretty fast, and my chain just whipped off completely on the side of the pedal. So while I'm riding, I could sort of grab it and put it back onto the chainring, which was difficult to do, but I managed to do it. So here it's back on. Luckily there was enough riders behind me that were overtaking me, so I could stay in the group, and you could see there was actually quite a lot of riders there in this group. We're now in the third group of the race. 1 hour in the race, and it seems like most of the bullets have been shot and the pace got more steady. My heart rate's going down, 145, which is nice, so I could recover a little bit. Also, this part of the loop, which you can see in the top left, was going predominantly downhill, all slightly down. So finally a moment to catch a breath. And then I'm entering my nutrition in the Glycogen Balancer during the ride, so I have some live numbers on my head unit. The amount of carbs that I burned in this race was really high, and it was probably my highest depletion that I've seen so far, mainly because all the climbs were on very high power, and the more you ride above your threshold, the faster you burn through those carbs. So even though I planned with 100 grams of carbs every hour, I still ended up with a very high depletion. Here's the last climb of that first loop. Pretty long gravel climb, wide road, so it was a little bit easier than some of the other climbs. And here we have some footage from another YouTuber, Douwe Doet Dingen, Dutch guy. We shared some footage. He lost his GoPro, so I gave him some of my footage. And he had a cameraman with him, so he gave me some of his footage. So thanks for that. And you can see how big that group is we're still in. It's still a third group in the race, so I'm not even doing really bad. I was just getting very, very tired. Official feed zone number 2. I don't have to tell you how this works by now. You know, we're all blazing through. And all these people holding bidons up on the sidelines, it's all support for these riders so they don't have to stop at the feed zone. Well, I managed to get a bidon from a friend of mine. His dad was along the sidelines and I just had to grab it. That may sound easier than it is. If you go too fast, it's pretty difficult to grab a bidon. And also, I didn't know his dad. He didn't know me. We met each other beforehand, but it's the first time ever we did this. So I grabbed it and it worked out. Next lap, I grabbed another bidon, which contained some of my nutrition as well. So that's super, super essential. And if you really want to compete in races like this, probably the only way is to get somebody on the sidelines to help you out. The rest of the race, for me, was really a sufferfest. My GoPro battery was empty, so I only have a few short clips. I got dropped on the Keuteberg. It took me a long time to get back from that.
58 kilometer. Eindelijk weer een beetje terug bij die groep.
And right after I got back, my chain dropped again. This time I had to stop and put it back because the chain got a bit tangled up and I completely lost the group.
On the same section, my chain dropped again. Fuck!
In hindsight, I think it was due to my rear derailleur clutch. It was not in the locked position, which allows too much slack in your chain and will start slapping on these bumps and it just swings off the chain. This ended up happening 3 times to me in the race. And I had never experienced this on any other rides before, so I didn't think about this would have been an issue and to adjust this derailleur clutch. The next 15 kilometers was all into a headwind. I was chasing the group at like 200-300 meters, but I just could not reach them. It was a big group and I'm by myself, so that's super hard. One strong rider, Rick Groeneweg, he was from my former club, the Volharding, he passes me. He's a different category and I just asked him, dude, can I be in your draft because my energy is low, I had chain drops. You know, he's a cycling fanatic, so he just keeps on motoring for a while and he actually towed me back towards this group, so that was a fantastic job.
Fucking stairs, man. Thanks.
Well, that joy was lived for a very short while because as we went up the Gerendal climb again, I was just toast. So I dropped out of the group again. The whole triple comeback thing just drained my energy. And once you're in the red, it's actually very hard to recover without the possibility to go easy for a bit. Up to Keuteberg again. Very hard climb. With the 2 guys you see here, I finished the race. And I even sprinted to the line. Well, the podium was divided by the British and the Spanish cyclocross champion and recently turned World Tour pro Timo Kilic. Gravel racing seemed to be more mellow, lower entry hipster type of thing. But with this race experience of today, I'm sure the gravel scene is being taken over by the pros.
Just finished. I thought I put my spare battery in my bag here, but I forgot it. Otherwise I could have swapped the battery on the Keuteberg. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the finish, see if I made it in the top 25. I really suffered. Chain dropped 3 times and yeah, that really took my energy. I made it to 97 grams an hour. Almost everything is absorbed and my depletion is 612. I think I've never had a depletion that much. Yeah, I was really dead at the end.
Ik was al ontploft. Goed gereden, man. Een mat.
3-0.
34ste.
Is dat goed of niet?
Gekwalificeerd.
Lekker dan. Je mag ik pakken?
Ja, zeker.
Dankjewel. The goal was to qualify, so did that. I'm smashed. Really tired.